Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm Frank Riker, and this is Frankly Speaking. Hope everybody's doing well and a warm welcome. Um, yeah, the topic today. I always thought about these horror movies that are from the '80s, that are the ones that we love and cherished, and we could watch all the time. Why aren't they at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes? And we all know why. It's because of the critics. But before we get to that, I'm going to say hello to everybody. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Janine. Hey, Welshman Reviews, Andrew Stevens. How's it going? See how many people come in, and we'll say hello to them as well. Okay, so really quick, Grubby Little Hands edition. What I picked up this week. Of course, I'm going to talk about the comics I got. I'm going to make this episode about an hour or so, just to get the topic rolling. And we'll take it from there. Let's see. Martin Spears Monsters. Continuing with that, these things are becoming valuable, ladies and gentlemen. New Frankenstein. Frankenstein New World. He's going around with a little friend and taking up adventures. I think this is a reprint, but hey, we're going to show it anyway. Savage Tales has John Carter in it. Which is better than the movie. Who else is in it? Some other well names that I can't just think off the top of my head. Cruel Kingdom. Pick that up. This is number 2. The first one was actually pretty good. And When I Lay My Vengeance Upon Thee, which is probably soon going to be a TV show on Amazon about exorcising demons. Hey, Chester, what's going on? Hey, Michael. So another thing I picked up, which Darren thought was actually quite silly, but you know what? They're selling like hotcakes on Amazon, and I bought it for about $35 without shipping and handling. Now somebody has bought one for $200, and they're going for about double the price. And that is, oh, come over here. I had to grab it by the nose. The Art the Clown popcorn bucket from AMC theaters. Now, it's ridiculous. I understand. These popcorn buckets are ways of just getting extra money. Cheap plastic, as you can hear. Made in China. Actually, no. Oh, distributed from Mexico. Made in China, I'm assuming. Actually, it doesn't have anything about made in China. It's actually looks like it's from Germany and the UK. So there you go, Darren. It's from Nantwich, Wardley, wherever that is. But I'm not going to open it. It's sealed pretty good in here. But it does, you can see, you can open up the back of Art's head and see how it folds out. Now, if you look down there, you can throw your popcorn in there. Now, I don't know if I could fit my whole hand in there. It looks like it might get stuck. But official Terrifier 3 popcorn bucket. There it is. Selling like hotcakes online. All right. Debbie Bloom says, I love that, Frank. Yep. I like it too so far. Who cares? And that's a pretty cool bucket from Thomas Clark. Yes, and hey, Shamrock, what's going on? Hey, Andrew. Hey, Brandon. Hey, Lord Kev. Hey, Thomas. If you want to buy something, buy it. Don't care what anyone else thinks. And put it, store it. Don't do what I do. I store mine in the closet because I can't have the kids look at it. Or just put it behind you, or just have it to say you have it. But they are going for right now hundreds, and they're sold out. So if I were to put this online, I'm assuming, because you can check this up on eBay and put, Art the Clown, Terrifier 3, popcorn bucket, and he were to put it in eBay and look at the ones sold. I don't think they've actually sold yet. I think some are just, I think some just went up because they just been released this week. Hair in my mouth, or my beard. So yeah, they people are bidding on them, going up to, like, I seen one for $179 being being bitten on. So, all right. Uh, I hear there it is. Okay, sorry about that. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So let me let's see. Give me a second here. I want to see if I can get this started. Okay, let me go back. All right, there we are. Hey, CM, what's going on? All right. Like I said, we're gonna be here for about an hour or so, or two, how long we get through this. But do these horror movies of the 80s deserve to be 100% on Rotten Tomatoes? Now, the criteria I did for this was anything. Now, really quick, there are some movies that are 60%, 70%, 50%, pick a number on Rotten Tomatoes. They're not necessarily 100, but for us, they're 100%. Now, I picked the ones that are 80% and above from the critics and top critics, not reviewers. I just did the critics to see if they should be either higher or do they deserve to be at 100%. Now, some of these movies I haven't seen, all to be honest. I think there's like two, and I did throw some comedy horror in there. But let's talk about them again. Do these horror movies of the 80s deserve to be 100% on Rotten Tomatoes? So let's start with the first one, and I also put the critics critique of them, what they think about this movie, in order to bring down the score. Now, also, I got to tell you really quick that the score, if I only have like one critic comment on there, it's because the rest of the critics only put a splatter. They only put the green splatter without any explanation, which I thought was kind of cheap. So let's talk about it. All right. First one, you might have saw it already, but it's The Shining from 1980. And I'm going to go all the way up through 1989. It's at 83% right now on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, Eleanor here says, I fear all work and no play has made Stanley a dull boy. So apparently she thinks that the director, Stanley Kubrick, was very dull at this movie. Now, I wouldn't take it that far, but the next one says, with everything to work with, Stanley Kubrick has teamed with Jumpy Jack Nicholson to destroy all that was so terrifying about the Stephen Killer's bestseller. Now, I have never read The Shining, and if anyone has read The Shining, let me know if it's just as good as the movie. Now, from what I understand, the movie is nowhere close to the book. If that's the case, let me know. I think the TV version with Jake Weber was not Jake Weber, the guy from Wings. Sorry, I think his that adaptation was actually a lot better, closer to the story. So we'll see. Okay, from the Ernest from the New York Daily News says, shock effect and graphic imagery does not compensate for the sense of pointlessness and even distaste that is left at the end of the movie. I thought the ending was okay. I mean, it's Jack frozen. Spoiler alert. I mean, it's Jack frozen, and that was it. The mom and what's his name? What's the boy's name? Whatever, Doc. Doc get away. So what else do you need? Do you want to see them, hunting in the wild because they couldn't get back down to civilization? What more do you need? And Gary Arnold says, I can't recall a more elaborate and effective scary movie. I don't know. I mean, but does it deserve the 83%? Let's see what some of your comments are. Shamrock Ball says, The Shining is so overrated. It's a lot of old nonsense. And also, he also follows up with, the book is far better than the movie. I'm assuming that's what you said. The book actually makes sense. Okay. Brandon Collins, what's up, Brandon? Says, I've read it. Love the book, the movie pretty equally, but they are drastically different in tone and characterization. The plot is pretty close. Okay. And Michael, what's going on, Michael? Says, I haven't read the book. I can't read. Jesus Christ. The book is far better than the film. Yep, we understood you. Yep. So, I mean, oh, and Bobby Hall. Hey, what's going on, Bobby? Congratulations again. I read The Shining a long time ago. I love both the book and the movie. Jack Nicholson seemed crazy from the get-go, while in the book, I believe it was more of a gradual transition. That was like that, Bobby, if you ever seen the TV movie. It was gradual. But yet that was like a seven-parter, I think. I think it was on for a couple nights for 2 hours. So that's a 6-hour movie, all put together. So do you guys agree? You can put it in the comments. 83% for The Shining. Do you agree or do you think it's unjust? 83% for me, I kind of agree. I kind of agree. I'm not the biggest Shining fan. I do like some parts of it. Uh, but other than that, Darren and I were thinking about doing a best and worst of The Shining, but then we were starting to get into some kind of astrological theories and psychological reasoning. It's I don't I don't know if we can do it, because if we do uh, an in-depth analysis of it, it would probably either offend people or blow our brains up. Uh, so I think 83% is actually quite good. Is it a 100% movie? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so. But hey, to each your own. The movie is much better, in my opinion. I don't, there's a thing that, and Shamrock says, 83 is probably about right. I love Nicholson, but the film is eh. And then Michael says, I just thought The Shining was okay. So 83%, you're kind of like, okay, it's passable. It's okay. Actually, more like 70%. No. What do I always say to my kids? Well, I don't say it to them. I'm going to say it to them when they get to high school. Take the D. You pass. It just means you're just below normal people. But who cares about grades? These grades in school. Oh, never mind. I'm going to get another tangent. Forget it. Brandon Collins says, King's book is about a man overcoming alcoholism and fighting off his demons, both internal and external. Kubrick's film is a nihilistic critique of colonialism and marriage. Shit. Fuck. Moving on. All right. Next movie. Now, that's the only one from 1980 that actually had a decent Rotten Tomatoes score that was above 80%. So let's move on to 1981. And our first one is Evil Dead, the original, at 86%. And these are some of the top critics that actually lowered that score by saying, let's see, Rick from the Philadelphia Choir says, a film of low aspirations and moderately effective achievements. Too bad it's hogtied by ridiculously familiar plot, uneven direction, and characters such as dizzying simplicity that you wish the demons would get to them. Okay. And Harry from the New York Daily News says a disgusting gush of gore is aggressively sloshed around before the film finally runs out of characters and gurgles to a stop. By then, the action has become numbingly redundant. It's not downright anemic. All right, what's Derek say from The Guardian? There's a kind of maniac energy on the show that's praiseworthy, but the general tone of The Evil Dead is ludicrously bananas, like a Friday the 13th or even more backward teenagers, I don't know. All right. Eleanor says, disgusting? Yes. Scary? No way. The Evil Dead is my nominee thus far as the Plan 9 from outer space of the 1980s. I don't know. Shamrock, what do you say? It says, far too high. I hate this movie. Rubbish. Oh, my God. But Debbie contradicts and says, Evil Dead should be rated higher. But Brandon Collins asks, Shamrock, do you like anything? Sean says, I think it's fair, especially for a gore fest that might not be for everyone. I love it, though. Okay. Yep. And Sean also follows up with saying, Evil Dead is much better. And also, Chester agrees. Evil Dead was good. It should be higher. It should be. I think, you know what? I'm going to have to agree. I'm going to have to agree with Sean. I'm going to have to agree with Sean. Evil Dead 2 should be higher than Evil Dead 1. I think Evil Dead 1 is actually, in some parts, quite boring. So, yeah, Rick M. Plan 9 of the 80s. It means it's just a terrible movie. You know what it means. I don't know. But Brandon says a lot of these reviews are just going to be from people who dislike horror films in general. You would think, but so it's so weird, Brandon, because when I was looking at some of the comments, there's a lot of people that I thought would hate horror movies. Like we all know Gene Siskel doesn't like horror movies, but I found a few that he actually liked. You know, we all knew Halloween was one of them. But I think a lot of them just want to go for the artistic value of it. They just don't want blood and gore and nudity. But for me, that's, 3 out of 5 check boxes. You can add story in there and good atmosphere. But other than that, as long as you got 3 out of 5 check boxes, I'm okay. Oh, actually 6. Enjoyable. Thomas Clark says, I really like Evil Dead, but 86% is perhaps a little high to me. I think it is too. I think it's a little bit high. I don't think it's the best of the series. I'll even have fun more with Army of Darkness compared to this one. I think Darren likes this one more, to tell you the truth. All right, next one from 1981. All right, this is hitting home. An American Werewolf in London at 89%. I suspect Landis hoped to keep moviegoers eerily disarmed with an unpredictable mixture of wacky and is it wacky? He should have put wacky and terrifying touches. Unfortunately, his own touch is so slack and uncertain that the movie ends up dramatically shapeless. Shapeless? The guy turns into a different shape, for Christ's sakes. And Roger Ebert of all people, has actually he was negative with this movie. He says, American Wolf of London seems curiously unfinished, as if director John Landis spent all of his energy on speculator set pieces and then didn't want to bother with things like transitions, character development, or an ending. Oh my God, Roger. The thing is that where can you go with this? Where can you go with that? David is dead. David is shot. And there's no coming back. He's gone. And the movie just ends. Crying out loud, what more do you want? Do you want, to be like their little wolf baby or something coming up, in 9 months? What do you expect? Do you expect him to change back in front of us and say, I love you, and then die? Why does it have to be some kind of ending? Whatever. Okay. It's a failure, less because of the odd stylistic mix doesn't take. It does from time to time into striking effect, then because Landis hasn't bothered to put his story into any kind of satisfying shape. Again, what's with the shape? I don't get it. Oh, my God. All right, let's see what your comments are. Sean says, should be at 100%. Debbie, should be higher. Brandon says, should be higher despite my hatred of Landis. I understand with that. I understand. That's about right. I like American Werewolf in London. Let's see. Welshman says, this one is way too low. Should be easily around 95%. Yep. Chester says, should be higher. Debbie, 100%. This should be 100%. It's a fantastic movie from Janine. The best werewolf movie of all time. That's right, Michael. He is dead. 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 Not coming back. I paid money to see Siskel and Ebert devoured by wolves. It's not grounded enough, right? It's not grounded enough. I mean, what else is there? Oh, my God, 89. But you know what? At least it was higher than Evil Dead. Now, could you imagine if this was lower than Evil Dead? You have to appreciate that the 89% is a good spot for a horror movie. All right, moving on. The Possession. Now, I've never seen this one, but Phil from Starburst says Possession is a film about low trash masquerading as high art. And David from Real Film Reviews says an art house experiment that one admires more than one enjoys. Has anyone seen this movie? I have not seen Possession. The tagline says, I can't exist by myself because I'm afraid of myself because I'm the maker of my own evil. Hey, Power Packers, I haven't seen it. So if you guys have seen The Possession, I mean, I should have seen it because it is from 1991 and it's going on being, 44 years old. I've never seen it. Never seen it. And Debbie has never seen it either. Sean Harris, never heard of it. Now, I mean, I don't know. I think this was a film. Now, if this was a subtitled European film, then I can understand why the critics have put it at 85% because it's artsy fartsy. Because every movie that's made in America is crap. And then when you go overseas, across the pond or in Asia, anything where you need subtitles, that's the best. Yeah, that's just the way our society works. Anything that's I had somebody really quick, not talking about movies here for a moment. I have somebody I work with that's Japanese. She goes over and sees her mom and she brings back candy for us. She brought back mint tea Kit Kat bars and strawberry cheesecake Kit Kat bars. Now, I know we don't sell those over here. And if they do, they're in, minuscule places of the country. Now, I had somebody bite into them. I didn't like the green tea Kit Kat. Someone bit into them that I work with that got him as a present from this person. And they thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. They were just like, oh, man, this is so delicious. Oh, my God, why don't they sell these over here? The reason why you like them so much is because you never tasted them before. If you grew up with them, then they'd be different. Because something is different, you think it's the best. It's not necessarily the best. It's because your mind and your taste buds are opening up to new things. But if you eat it after past a month, I guarantee you'll go back at the same way. Go back to the old ways. It really is an unhinged performance. The film itself has some truly gnarly sequences that feel like Cronenberg. Now, Brandon, if you've seen this, I do too. If you've seen this, is it subtitled? Let me know. Just put either a yes or a no, and I'll pick it up. But Possession, 85%. I'm gonna have to watch it. I don't know what she's doing there. Everyone's talking about Kit Kats. All right, next one from 1981, or am I at the end? Let's see. This is 1982. I messed up there, but okay, we're into the 1982s now. 85%. Such a pity. John Carpenter is too gifted of a movie maker to let nauseating special effects take over his biggest film. But that's what happened in the thing. Oh, the special effects are the best part. Are you kidding me? All right. Carpenter's direction is slow, dark, and stately. He seems to be aiming for an enveloping, novelistic kind of effect, but all he gets is heaviness. Oh, God. Okay. Russell's sub-Eastwood heroics hardly compensate for the absence of all characterizations. while Bill Lancaster's script boasts most illogical climax of any movie ever had. I do think the climax is a little but that's okay. And Roger didn't like it. Roger didn't like it. Uh, okay. What does Brandon say here? No, it's English. Sam Neill is her husband. Okay. All right. I could take that. Thank you for putting that. I'm gonna have to watch it. I'm gonna have to say. I'm gonna have to put it on my to watch list. Because of his material has been done before and better, especially in the original of the thing and Alien. There's no need to see this version. Are you kidding me? Brandon Collins says the thing should be 100%. Halloween's my favorite movie of all time, but this is Carpenter's masterpiece. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, a young 21-year-old Rob Bottin nearly killed himself making this movie with his special effects. Stan Winston had to come in and help because the guy was exhausted. Please. And Sean says 100%. Best Carpenter movie. Yep. Shamrock says the thing probably about right. I really like this movie, but feels Carpenter fans overrate it a tad. Beach Dad, what's going on, buddy? Way too low. Game changer movie. This movie still holds up. Andrew Stevens says, I love this movie, but I think 88% is fair on Rotten Tomatoes. Chester says, in my opinion, it's the best Carpenter movie. Should be higher. And Janine says, hey, the thing is a great movie. I love it. Ugh. And Debbie also says John Carpenter's The Thing is a perfect movie. 85%. I do believe, you know what? I think it should be just a little bit higher just because of the special effects. All right, let's move on. All right, Poltergeist is at 82. Now, look at this. 85, 88. But however, people have said this is a film that tends to annoy as if it had been more taut and consistent. But it could have been far more exciting. I don't know. Steven Spielberg, see how it says Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg's intent may be satirical, but I find these stereotypes even more depressing than hobgoblins. And would not have minded if they'd all been dragged off into the fourth dimension. A vapid, silly horror movie with occasional moments of promise that ultimately fails due to an overdose of cuteness. I mean, it's a family, for Christ's sakes. They're going to have lovely, I mean, they want, I guess, all ghost stories to be actual horror more than just, I mean, cuteness. I mean, if they watch the movie, you can see there's some tender moments, of course, between the family. There's some of the poltergeist that are actually very comforting to Carol Ann and to the family. And there's actually I think it's Kane, who's in the second one, but he's supposed to be the Beast. Is is the one trying to kidnap Carol Ann, and that ultimately does. But again, it's 88%. And then given the talents, Poltergeist is an annoying film because it could have been so much better. I don't get the whole thing about it should have been, it's annoying. I don't get about that. I don't understand. Wayne says, I love Poltergeist, a horror film with and a story. Absolutely refuse to stain my eyes with the remake. Yep. I didn't watch the remake either. Brett, what's going on, buddy? The Cursed Films and True Hollywood Story episodes is unreal, explaining what happened on the set. Yeah, I've seen that. The old True Hollywood Stories. Yep. Welshman says, for me personally, a bit too high. I think low 80s. Debbie, I agree with Rotten Tomatoes on this one. And Brett, it's a classic, in my opinion. So, I mean, actually, you know what, Brett? You actually bring up a good point. The True Hollywood Story and Cursed Films episode make this movie even creepier. It does. But again, I mean, is it all circumstantial? You listen to the director talk about when he was talking with Heather O'Rourke on part 3. He actually said he wished he never made the film because they knew she was sick, but they misdiagnosed her. It's actually a shame. Wayne also says it's fun, then slips into her darker side. Uh, love the score by the great Jerry Goldsmith. Yep. Let's see. Sean says the clown scene did traumatize me as a kid, though. Yeah, and then Scary Movie fixed it. Scary Movie 2. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, from 1982 as well. I don't know why I did that, but that's okay. Tenebrae, which I did see. I have seen this one. 81%, I kind of agree with. Unpleasant, even by contemporary horror standards. Gory, but not practically effective. Argentino's horror flick, complete with his usual touches. Secret villain, topless Italian beauties, and an overbearing organ score. What else is there, Christopher? You got me at topless Italian beauties. Poorly executed with awkward line readings and badly sequenced scenes. If it looks like trash, smells like trash, and photographs like trash, then it probably is trash. I don't know. This one's a good one for me. This one's a good one. Again, if you're into Giallo movies, this one's number one. It should be number one, or at least in your top 5 movies. 81%. Beach Dad, Darren's favorite. I don't think it is his favorite. Actually, you know what? Of Giallo movies, I think you're right. I think it is one of his favorites. And Rick M says Tenebrae is good. The ending is a little daft. It's a little nuts. So I don't understand that part of it. I'm not going to spoil Tenebrae, but there's John Saxon is in it, and it is subtitled for you. But of course, subtitles from the Italian lips to English words, it does look a little off, but there's nudity in it and blood and some pretty good gore scenes. So put it on your list. If you like Giallo movies, go do it. Okay. Now we're into 1983. Sorry about that number up top. It was fixed when it was so weird. Okay. Videodrome, 83%. More weird than scary. On a line starting with quality and ending with incompetence. Simultaneously stupefying and boring. Videodrome is too extreme. A blunder to survive exposure to a justifiable delusioned horror movie public. I don't know. To a justifiable delusioned horror movie public. I mean, and then there are distinct signs of stain and the plot convolutions, not least in the spectators' loss of faith, over discriminate and cheating use of hallucinations. What certainly survives is Cronenberg's wholesale disgust with the world in general. Watched Videodrome recently. Rubbish. Too high. I thought this was actually too high myself. It's a little high. I think for some people, Cronenberg is really cool to watch. Watch his movies. There's a few Cronenberg movies on this list. I think for some, it kind of puzzles the mind a little bit because he has a different way of filming. He's very artistic. He's kind of like David Lynch in that way. That's my opinion. 83%, I do think is a little high. But Brandon says Videodrome is probably my favorite Cronenberg film. 83% is definitely too low. Debbie said saw it and was confused by the ending. Hated it. Yeah, the ending is kind of weird. But I think it's not one of James Woods' best performances. But he's actually good in anything he does. I like James. Okay, moving on. Now, Angst has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I've never seen this movie. If anyone has ever seen this movie, let me know. Does this movie deserve 100%? Now, I didn't put any positive remarks on here because they were all positive in order to get 100%. From what I understand, it's about somebody going crazy. That's it. So if anyone has ever seen Angst, let me know. From 1983. It's the last one in 1983 with 100%. Yeah, Sean, I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, even if you look it up, I didn't even bother trying to look at it. The story of my life. Thanks, Michael. Never heard of it. Yeah, never heard of Angst. As Darren says, I'm grabbing this stuff and no one's ever heard of it. Well, you know what? If I just found it, someone else must have just found it. I mean, it's on the web. I don't know what he's looking at, Brett. He could be doing something we're not supposed to be looking at. All right. Everyone's never heard of it. There's a few on here that I never heard, but I'm trying to get that one person that's actually heard of it and actually tell us it's actually pretty good. So, like The Possession, I'm actually going to go look at that. And then because was it Brandon? Brandon, you said it was okay? All right. We're moving on to 1984. 6 more years to go. All right, here we go. Actually, 4. Yeah, because we're just getting out of 83. Okay. Shamrock, I haven't heard of it. It's already too high. All right. Terminator. 100%. I actually don't agree with it. I think it should be in the 90s. There's some parts that kind of pull me off a little bit. But yeah, it's 100%. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I don't think it was ever that way. I tried to find negativity. And all the negativity was from people who just said, I don't like robots. And I was like, well, you can't look at it that way. First of all, it's not a robot. It's a cyborg. As Kyle Reese says. Sean says exactly where it needs to be. Yep. Give me your clothes now. Your clothes. Give them to me now. Shamrock says, Shamrock, probably too high, but I love the Terminator, so I'll agree. Saw Terminator 2, but not the original. Oh, I think you'll be in for a treat. Debbie, if you go watch it. Let's see. Lord Kez says, part of me agrees, and part of me thinks it's more of a 90%. I agree. I think it's around 90-ish, mid-90s. Not 100%. Terminator deserves 95. Yep. And Welshman says, for me, it's 100%. Brett Patrick says, I agree. 90s for me. Anything with Dick Miller works for me. I love Dick. Brandon Collins, love the Terminator. 100% is good. Oh, yeah. Laundry Day. Nothing clean, right? Nothing clean, right? Yeah, and Beach Dad. Love this movie, but 100? Nice night for a walk. Now we're all going to be quoting it, so I'm moving on. All right, let's go on to the next one. All right, another 1984 movie, Nightmare on Elm Street, 94%. Contrary to popular belief, it wasn't considered an instant classic by anyone upon its original release. There was a reason for its middling response. Okay. And then People Magazine from Ralph says, in this kind of movie, it's not the actor's sweat and tears the audience cares about. It's only the blood. What else is there, Ralph? What else is there? I mean, 94% I think is a little high. A little too high for the original. The original Nightmare on Elm Street is the best. I give it that. But like Michael, like what you said, yeah, ranks are subjective. I understand that. But for this, if you're doing research and somebody wants to check out how good of a movie is, like here, Nightmare on Elm Street, someone could say it's 94. I could think it's, let's say, I'll pick a number 88. But then you look at the comments and you have to think about where those people's comments are coming from. So yeah, Sean says this one is kind of dated for me now. Doesn't hold up. 80%. Yep. And Ronnie Blakely's performance deserves a 10% reduction, but I'll let it slide. And then Chester says, I don't like the ending, but the rest was great. I 94%. Is it 94% because the people who've seen the rest of the films in the series just made this number go up? Again, I'm just looking at what people are saying and the score. So if you really want to get to the nitty gritty of these scores and go with, math and people dueling, adding a comma here and putting their own little review there and getting really deep and down into that mathematical bullshit. No, I'm not doing that. I'm going by what people are saying and the score, and that's it. If this was a grade, like I said, take the D. Take the 60%. You passed the test. Who cares? Life is not about grades. Ugh. Lord Kev says, got to remember to try to remove recency bias when dealing with our beloved 80s flicks. Yeah. And then Wayne goes, Freddy's debut, classic, love it. But damn, that ending with that dummy. What do you think he did with that dummy at the end? Okay, moving on. 94%, I think, is a little too high. I think upper 80s, and you'll be fine. I think Heather Langenkamp's performance is a little bit too drama for me, just like Ronnie's. That whole I think Heather kind of compensates for it. I think she just adds to it instead of being, like a teenager. She's really acting too grown up. All right, moving on. 1984 again, Gremlins. I put it as a horror movie. Dante's perhaps the first filmmaker since Frank Tashlin to base his style on the formal free-for-all of animated cartoons. He is also utterly heartless. That seems like a personal attack. Gremlins is far more interested in showing off its knowledge of movie lore and making random jokes than in providing consistent entertainment. The humans are a little more than dress extras for the mechanics. I mean, that's what it is. It's called Gremlins, for Christ's sakes. Not actors around little monsters. 86%, I still think is. I love this movie. I'll watch it. I still think it's a little too high. Shamrock Balls. I agree with Langenkamp's performance. And then I think low 90s for Nightmare on Elm Street, right, Welchman? But yeah, 86%. See, it's so funny because here, if I make this bigger, no, I'm not going to fuck with it. Let me see. Maybe I'll hold on. Nope, screw it. I'm going to keep it the way it is. I'm not going to ruin this for you guys. All right. Oh, let me get the chat back up here. There we go. Shamrock says, should it be in the 90s? Gremlins is a classic. And Wayne says, God damn, my favorite film of all time. Funny and dark, complete nonsense. Lord Kev, way too low. I'm biased, though. This is one of my favorites. Debbie says, I haven't seen Gremlins, but I saw Gremlins too. I actually like Gremlins too. My ex-girlfriend had a dog named Gizmo because of this movie. Brandon Collins, I like Gremlins, but it isn't one of my favorites. 86% seems fair. It's more comedy. It's not even horror. It could be, Chester. It's based upon what you think. Some people can think that, let's say, like the Lord of the Rings trilogy is fantasy. Others think it's adventure. People say it's fantasy adventure or adventure fantasy. This could be comedy horror. Anything with monsters in it, I'm calling it a horror movie. Just it depends on the sub genre that follows. Joe Dante, Dick Miller both rule. I enjoyed the sequel as well. 90 plus for sure. All right. That was Gremlins. Okay. I think we're moving on to 85. No, one more 84. The Company of Wolves. I have this. I seen it. It's actually pretty good. And then Rob here from Flipside Movie says strange and haunting, but unduly disjointed. I kind of agree with him. I think 85% is perfect. Now, the reason why I think it has an 85% is because I checked, like I said, I checked the rest of the comments and it just had splatter, but no explanation on why they came to that. So, Company of Wolves, I like it. 85%, I think, is in the right spot. Depending on the day, for me, it could be up and down depending on the mood I'm in. But yeah, Brett, get on Company of Wolves. It's a weird anthology movie surrounded with werewolves, but then there's a dinner scene where there's wolves at this fancy party dinner. And you could tell that they're not wolves. Someone actually took spray paint and spray painted these poor dogs. Most of them look like German shepherds. As Sean says, this poster makes me want to see it. See it. It's actually not bad. It has Angela Lansbury in it. That's right. Murder, She Wrote, Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. Company of Wolves was a good film. Wasn't expecting Angela Lansbury to be in it, though. There's a part where Angela Lansbury tells her granddaughter to shut the hell up, and it's absolutely the funniest thing. Shut up, gal. You know? And you think she's a sweet woman, you know? She's dead, though, isn't she, Angela Lansbury? She just died, right? Or is she still alive? Let me look. I think she's dead by now, right? She Lansbury. Okay, let's take a look. Angela Lansbury. Oh no, she died in 2022. That's right, she is dead. Okay. Brandon says, I saw a Company of Wolves about 30 years ago and can't remember, I think. I know Neil Jordan, the Crying Game Interview with the Vampire, directed it. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, 85% I think is okay. The poster alone, I think, is 85%. All right, next one. I think, are we into 85? Yes, we're into 1985. 94% for Reanimator, which I agree. Bill from the South Florida Sun Sentinel says, because Reanimator is so poorly acted and directed, there is no tension to break. So the gruesome scenes are just as clinical and dull. I don't know about that. I think the gruesome, gory scenes are the best thing about this. All right, David from Chicago Reader says, it is this kind of flat-footed stuff that gives garbage a bad name. Ugh. And Amanda from the Daily Times says the film is all kinds of ridiculous, but if you like campy horror, yeah, I think 94% is perfect. Is perfect. It's a little long, a little too long, but by maybe about 20 minutes. But I just ordered the box set for the original movie that comes with a bobblehead of the Doctor. I think Reanimator, if not, it should be. You know what? I might actually agree with Brandon Collins here. Reanimator's 110%. These critics are fucked. Even Chester says, I love Reanimator. Ooh, Debbie should be at 75%. Really? Wow. We all know Frank's favorite scene in this. You know everybody's favorite scene in this. Who are you kidding? Okay, Wayne says, now you're talking. Another one that's fun and dark. Nonsense, but great. Nonsense. The sequels were crap, though, in my opinion. The sequels, except for the one with Kathleen Kidmont, the bride of the Reanimator, I dig. The other ones where he's in jail, I think the Reanimator Returns, I think it's called. If not, I'm sadly mistaken, and I'm sorry. So, yeah, I think 94% is there. I think that's perfect. All right, moving on. Day of the Dead, 86%. Disappointing third entry of Romero's Dead trilogy. That's all he says. Then Roger Ebert gave it a splatter and says maybe Romero, whose original movie was genuinely inspiration, was a genuine inspiration, hasn't figured out anything new to do with the zombies. Well, what else is there new to do? What do you want them to do, Roger? I mean, in Fido, didn't they go around and do like grocery shopping and stuff like that? They had these collars on them. 86%. Okay, I agree with. From Beyond was better, and Barbara Crampton was somehow hotter in it. The last one sucked. Sean says, "I'd like this one better than Dawn." Yeah, I mean, I think Darren loves Dawn of the Dead. He loves it. I can't get over blue zombies. It just goes very slow, and the action sequences are just dull for me. It's a good zombie movie, but I don't think it's that impressive. So Day of the Dead at 86%, maybe a little high, but I'm not going to argue with somebody if they think it's going to be or should stay at 80%, 86%. And Beach Dad said this is one of my all-time favorites. Solid 95 for me. Cool. All right. Wow, Brett, it's my least favorite. A bit higher than 89. Okay. Brett says Ebert had his head in his ass here. Day of the Dead showed zombies can evolve. Also, this is Savini's best work. Yeah. Yep. And then a guy by the name of Mr. Sandsman says, "Hey, all hail blue zombies." If I could ban people, well, I can. I don't know. He's new to the channel, so we'll leave him there. All right. Chester says 89% for him. All right, let's move on. Oh, we got some years to go through. Okay. Now we're talking. Return of the Living Dead, 91%. And this is the only bastard that I found that put it down to 91. The volume of stagey gore quickly reaches a point of diminishing returns. It's not about the gore. It's about the characters. For me, the zombies are second fiddle. Are you kidding me? This should be at 100%. Return of the Living Dead is easily a 100% movie. It doesn't take itself seriously. I could look past all the stupid special effects that the guy got fired from. I could look past that. It's about the characters and how they're trying to survive and how funny it is. And Sean actually agrees. Absolutely, it should be 100%. But ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Holden from the New York Times just made it go down to 91. He's the only one. He's that only one person. If anyone follows baseball, when Derek Jeter of the New York Yankees, one of the greatest shortstops of baseball of all time, was elected to the Hall of Fame, but one bastard didn't give him 100%. It was only one. And there's only been one baseball player in history, and that's Mariano Rivera, that's been elected to the Hall of Fame on 100%. And he was a New York Yankee for life. He could have made Derek Jeter the only second person, but no. And everyone's like, find this one person, string them up. They weren't released who did it. 90s for sure, says Brett. Return of the Living Dead is so damn good, but I actually prefer part 2. Wow, Brandon. I'm probably the only one who will say that. Is it because it's funny? I don't know. I think this one has zombie boobs in it. Wayne says, love Return of the Living Dead. Great fun from the beginning to end. Send more cops. I dread to think what they'll do with the remake. We're all gonna go see it. So, I mean, that teaser trailer didn't do too much. Debbie. Return of the Living Dead. Meh. I think it deserves to be 100%. All right. Next, let's keep going here. All right. Fright Night at 83%. It's only for the most undemanding of audiences. That's an insult. Spectacularly lousy. Its tone is never comedic. Its horrific touches are more disgusting than scary. Basically, this movie was made a lot better by Roman Polanski back in 1967 as the Fearless Vampire Killers. I have to watch that one. Are you saying, People Magazine, that this is a remake? Are you saying? My man. So do I. Brandon Collins, Friday Night deserves to be at 100. I think it deserves to be at least a high 90. It deserves to be high 90s. I don't think 83% has given this movie justice. Sean, the club scene alone gets this to 100%. It gets all men to 100%. It gets me to 100%. Oh, like I said, I can't work out. I can't go to the gym listening to that. It's on my playlist on my phone, and I can't. once I hear it, I skip because I don't want to be on the, treadmill with something. Brett Patrick, buddy, says, "What the hell? This is 100 for me. I thought all the critics loved this. Apparently not." And Janine says, "I love this movie. 83%, but we should all be happy it's at 83%. But for the rest of us, it should be 100 or close to it." All right, moving on. 1986, Aliens, 94%. I must tell you that the large audience I saw it seemed hooked throughout. I must also admit that I got extremely bored. That's for The Guardian. Totally lacking originality. The film tries to compensate with excess. The first half of the movie amounts to one action sequence reenacted half a dozen times with little or no variation. It's instant replay ad nauseum. I don't know about that. And then Gene Siskel, who hated everything. Some people have praised the technical excellence of Aliens. Well, the Eiffel Tower is technically impressive, but I wouldn't want to watch it fall apart on people for 2 hours. Oh my God. A noisy, hectoring, mechanical piece of filmmaking. It beats you like a drum, but there's no renaissance. Too high, or some people are saying. Chubbed. That's right. Chubbed. Brandon Collins says too high. Aliens the third, or the third Aliens, is the best alien movie. Really? And then Flavio says, "Get away from you, you bitch," is the best line ever. Said this reviewer to Gitmo. 94, I think it's actually decent for this movie. You know what? But just because a lot of people like it, and because I think it's better than the first one, it's one of those movies where the sequel is better than the original. I think it should be at 100%. Shamrock says, "That's about right. Not as good as the original, maybe slightly high." And then Chester goes back to Friday and says, "Friday should be higher. It's a good vampire movie. I freaking love that movie." And then Wayne goes, "Love Aliens. Brilliant sequel. Takes the story into the next chapter without rushing it. The extended version is better than the theatrical version." Yep. And then Jamie says, "Hello." So I'm going to say hello too. Debbie goes, "I have no interest in horror in space, so I have not seen Aliens." Wow. So, and then Brandon goes, Aliens, Alien 3. I'm sorry, Alien 3, then Aliens. Wow. Good for you, buddy. All right, let's move on. So 94% I think is actually low. I think if it was at 98, I'd be okay with it. Maybe 100. All right, The Fly at 93. Any dolt could fill this movie with sickening stuff, and there's nothing scary, funny, or interesting about what Cronenberg has done. It is just tedious and insulting. Great. Get the swatter. Imagine so much subverts intention that Jeff Goldblum's tragic fly person finally seems more ludicrous than affecting, voyeuristically bizarre. A film that tries to be too many things at once: funny, but not campy, sad and scary, a horror story, and a human tragedy. Well, yeah, that's what's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be all those put together. Hey, Vanderhoff, what's going on? I don't get it. I mean, it's supposed to be sad and scary and a human tragedy. It's body horror. And then instead of being pretty good cautionary fable about the limits of technology, it just shows and tells in a fifth grade biology. It's just a show. It's just a show it's just a show and tell in fifth grade biology. I mean, if I did anything like this in fifth grade biology, my head would explode. I mean, come on. I think this needs to be 100%. I love The Fly. I could say that's about right, but wouldn't complain if it was higher. The Fly is arguably the best remake ever made. Yep. Brandon Collins says 93 is about right. Yep. I mean, for me, I think it's 100%. Personally, it's 100%. It's a beautiful, tragic love story. It's body horror. It's, again, the tale about technology going awry and possibly the repercussions of that. He was Brendel was supposed to be the smartest man in the room, but he didn't think of every variation. You know, it's sad. It's actually sad. Part two is not too good, not too bad either. I was about to say not too good. All right, let's keep going. 1986 Manhunter, 94%. So 93 for The Fly, 94 for Manhunter. So any dolt could fill a movie with sickening stuff, and there's nothing scary. Oh man, did I put something together? Oh, okay, never mind. So I messed that up. Don't worry about it. But 94%. What do you guys think of Manhunter? 94. I think it's about right. Yeah, I messed that up. See, this is what happens. And I took a day to do this. Yeah. 94% I think is okay. All right, let's move on. All right. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Jamie Hart says really quick, I love Manhunter, and yep, I saw it in the theater. I think the thing with the comments for Manhunter, they said Brian Cox was a terrible Hannibal Lecter. Debbie says Manhunter should be lower. Okay. Brett Patrick says this score works. Michael Mann rules. Shamrock says I love Manhunter. I argue it's better than Silence of the Lambs. I agree. Okay. And Manhunter is so damn good. It's actually my favorite Lecter. Really? Brian Cox is your favorite Lecter? Good for you, buddy. And then Wayne says, love Manhunter. Great cast, great film. All right. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. So I'm going to try to get through this really quick because I got things to do. I got to get the kids. So 89%. So right here, I'll read from Lou from the Baltimore Sun. If you want a gore fix, this is it. If you're looking for a film with a purpose, better wait until the bill changes. I don't know about that. The emptiness in Henry seems like an artistic convenience, or worse, an invasion. What we suspect finally is that the deficiencies belong more to the artist than to his subject. That's from Hal from the Washington Post. Actually, I think it's one of the most bleakest endings in horror history. And I think it's a good serial killer movie I think it's based on a true story. Right. So it's funny because Roger Ebert gave this 2 thumbs up. So 89% I think is just right. Slow it a little bit of the parts throughout, but you know what? It's gritty. I think this is based in New York, if I'm not mistaken. I have it, but I haven't seen it in such a long time. But I think this is absolutely spot on. 89%. All right, 1987 for you Evil Dead fans. Evil Dead 2 is higher than Evil Dead 1. Evil Dead 1 was 86%, I believe, and this is 88%. Bill says, taken at face value, it's a so-so horror film, horror thriller, oozing gore. But add a star if you can approach this sequel to The Evil Dead as a decidedly campy follow-up to the original. And then Harper says, Evil Dead is neither scary nor funny. It's just about an enjoyable as a kick in the lower abdomen. Now, I think Evil Dead 2, Chicago, thank you guys, Chicago. Appreciate it. I think 88% is a little low. I think it should be in the mid to lower 90s for me. It's not 100, but I do think it's better than the first one. I think it's better. I think it's funnier. I think it's the gore is there. Of course, a lot of people are just confused. Are they doing things a little? Are they? They can't really. A lot of people are still determining is this a sequel or a retelling, and I think that's what. I think it's what people are disappointed about. They just can't. They can't think about anything else. A Welshman says Evil Dead should easily be the 90s club. Yeah. Evil Dead 2 is Rami's masterpiece. Rammy's. Probably the greatest horror comedy of all time. And he could put that up there also with Return of the Living Dead for me. I like horror movies that don't take themselves so seriously and add a little comedic aspects in there. Retelling. Thank you, Debbie. Retelling. All right, moving on. Predator, 80%. It's arguably one of the emptiest, feeblest, most derivative scripts ever made as a major studio movie. There is no need to do a Mad Magazine movie parody of this. It's already on the screen. Despite the off-rhythm styling, there's not a lot going on. I think there's plenty going on. I watch this all the time. It's on TV. It's going to stay on my television. I mean, I own it. I own multiple copies of it. 80%, I think is too low. I think it's going to be, for me personally, is 100%. 100%. I mean, that alone, where Sergeant Mac is sees a predator and is screaming Sergeant, and everybody comes from the platoon, from the squad, and starts shooting down all those trees, and reloads and clips and shells are flying out, and the grenade launchers are going off. That's the best scene in the whole movie. I mean, this movie just sweats testosterone, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a terrific movie, and I'm glad Stan Winston redid the makeup, because it becomes, yeah. I mean, even Welshman says here, fucking 80%. That's a crime. That should be closer to 100. Vanderhoff, you've never seen The Predator? I think you enjoy it, buddy. Considering we're going to get crap weather this weekend, pop it in. If you have, I don't know what cable system you have, if you have any, it's always on every weekend. Frank is picking the cream of the crop here. I like Aliens and Predator, but they aren't masterpieces. I mean, to some people they are. For me, some of them are. Like I said, I went to the horror movies that were 80% and above. Now, if you want to do ones that are too low, maybe that's another episode. Good movie, but it's too low. Wayne says 80%. Damn, these critics need to watch these films. Sci-fi, action, horror, and characters, and a story. One of my all-time favorite films. Yep. I'm not a big action fan, so I haven't seen Predator. It's a monster movie. It's a sci-fi action monster movie. I'll leave it at that. All right. We're getting through this. Near Dark. Now, I know a lot of people love this movie. I think 83% is too high. I don't see the appeal for this. But the promise its director, Catherine Bigelow, showed in her first film, The Loveless, remains unfulfilled. An awkward blend of horror spoof and genuine shocker. In the end, it's still unintentionally ludicrous stuff. The best you could say for it is that it will leave you laughing all the way to the blood bank. You might call this the scattershot school of filmmaking. Yeah, I think 83% is way too high. This movie, I never got it. I don't find the appeal. I know they're vampires, but I just don't. This is not my type of vampire movie. I think it's actually um, kind of boring. Uh, Debbie Bloom actually agrees, saying, "Yep, I agree with you, Frank, about Near Dark. Good. I mean, not good, but thank you. Yeah, for me, it's daft. I don't like it. I know Colin Murray loves this movie, but I I don't get it. I mean, I think it should be in the high 60s, low 70s. 83 is too low, says Brandon. I say maybe 90. Yeah, I mean, is that what you think? That's what you think. But for me, it's lower. No, Shamrock Balls. Yeah, masterpiece. Jaws of Revenge. Mm-mm. Maybe in another episode I do. All right, moving on. Near Dark. Here we go. I think this is the last one for 87. Angel Heart feels awfully conventional on a whole. Metaphysical and emotional enigma is the most important tradition in cult horror mystery, a category the Daffy plot twist and Crimson and incestuous excess of Angel Heart sit quite cozily in. I don't know. I mean, 82%. It's good, but it's not 82%. It's not going to be 100%. I only seen it once. So let's see. Welshman here goes back to Near Dark. Says there's a better story in this movie, just following around the main vampires and cutting the love story out of it. I mean, that's the way it should be. Chester says Near Dark is a good one, but 83% is too low. I think okay, but I think Angel Heart here, I think it's 82 is too high. Too high. I know it has a great twist and everything. Yeah, I mean, even Brandon says 82 is a bit too high. The performances are better than the film. Yep. That's why I think. I think Brandon, I agree with you with that. The film itself and the story, it kind of, it's kind of dulled me. I think The Devil's Advocate did it better. I'm not saying the actors didn't do a good job, but I think Devil's Advocate was probably a lot better. All right, moving on. 1988. We got one more year to go after this. The Vanishing. I've never seen it. A film that is literally blood chilling. Okay, I never seen, but this is high, 96%. And Michael, Lisa Bonet naked. What else is there to say? Okay, maybe it's going to be higher on my list now. I never seen The Vanishing, so if you guys have seen The Vanishing, let me know. I don't know anything about it. The last time I saw anything that's called The Vanishing was the Tommy Lee Jones movie, where he pretended to be a Native American and going after his daughter's daughter, so his granddaughter. That's the only time. There's a lot of movies called The Vanishing. So Brandon says it's a good Southern Gothic. Okay. I mean, should I put it on my list to watch? I don't know. No, but 96%. 96. These are the only two people that actually brought it down a little bit. All right, let's go. Dead Ringers. Dead Ringers at 85%. Now, is this any different than Dead Ringer with Betty Davis? Brandon Collins says The Vanishing is so much better than the remake that was made by the same director. That ending. I gotta watch it then. Let's see. What did Brett Patrick says? Not the biggest fan. Huck I remember The Vanishing in the 90s with the Jeff Bridges and Kiefer. Yeah, I know. I saw the American version of The Vanishing and it was okay. So, but what about Dead Ringers here? I think Jeremy Irons is in this one. Trite, weird, ridiculous, uneventful, sick. Cronenberg is at his worst. I mean, Irons' performance, no doubt, exhausted the actor more than it impresses the audience. I mean, I've never seen this either, but you guys let me know if it's a good movie and it deserves an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I can't subjectively, you know, look at it different than what the critics have claimed it to be. All right, let's move on. Here we go. They Live at 87%. So, a smart movie wrapped inside a dumb movie. The plot for They Live is full of black holes. The acting is wretched. The effects are second rate. Who cares about the effects? I think it's one of Carpenter's best. As a movie, They Live is lethargic. As election propaganda, it's terrific. Well, I think we got a critic there. And Carpenter should stick to what he's good at, scaring folks and leaving the political satire to spitting image. Now you have me, Brandon. Dead Ringers is great. Cronenberg, definitely recommend. Plus, there's a ton of weird sex in it, Frank. Well, okay. I'm going to watch it tonight. I think for They Live, I'm going to put it at 91%. Yeah, I'm thinking I'll put it in the. Yeah, Debbie says it should be in the 90s. They Live is amazing. You know, this is definitely a 90 plus from Brett. It's aged very well. Shamrock says, I love They Live. Great poster art for They Live. Yep. Love They Live. Brilliant film and fun. Great fight scene and love the B movie feel to it. You know, just seeing, and also Brandon says 87 is too low. I think for this one, it's they did it right. As soon as you see Roddy Piper on and that Western theme, I think it's a great beginning. And then the ending, you know, where he gets shot and he gives the middle finger. And then, you know, the girl on top of the alien, and he's like, "What's wrong, baby?" Yeah. All right. Keep going here. 4 more slides to go. Beetlejuice, 83%. Ultimately, the special effects and wacky premise weighed down the story and turned the movie into something akin to an overlong carnival ride. Well, that's the whole premise of it. Filmmakers parcel out the horrific gags are so tirelessly, they lose sight of the tale they're telling. I think 83% is actually pretty justifiable. 83% is justifiable. Not. I think it's just perfect. In the 80s, I think that's just perfect. Yep. All right. Let's keep going here. I never seen this one. I don't know, it's Santa Segre, right? You know, but is at 89%. But going back to the last slide here, Vanderhoff says, I never got the appeal for Beetlejuice. And Wayne says, love that ending. Love Beetlejuice, 88%. Yep. But I've never seen this one. I'm assuming it's a Mexican movie or a Spanish movie of some sort. So Brandon says Beetlejuice is fun, but it's far from Burton's best. I think 83% is just right. I agree with you. Yep. Give or take, depending on my mood. Never seen this one, though. Santa Segre. Never seen it. I mean, it's just, apparently it's, you know, Brandon, if you saw it, let me know if that's a good score. All right, moving on. Got 3 more slides here. The Woman in Black is 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I've never seen it. Now, is this the one that was remade with Daniel Radcliffe? Because he also did, I think it's called The Woman in Black as well. Jamie says, not a big fan. I don't even know what it's about. Just that it was high or a horror movie. But let me know, is The Woman in Black a remake, or is The Woman in Black with Daniel Radcliffe a remake of this Woman in Black from 1989? And then Brandon Collins says 89 is being generous. Okay. And Brandon says, never seen this one. You never seen this one? Didn't they remake The Woman in Black? I think that's all. I think this is the same thing. But this has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. So The Woman in Black deserves at least 95. He's never seen, you never seen The Woman in Black. I'll have to take a look because I think this is English. Oh, okay. Oh, my buddy Matt Whitfield. He loves the Yankees, ladies and gentlemen. The lady in white gets no respect, like the Mets. Maybe the dress turned white. Ooh, okay. Oh, not seen this version of Woman in Black, but the Radcliffe version. No, I've never seen the original. I've never seen the original from Debbie. I think this is the remake. It has to be. What other title is there? I mean, how many vanishings can you make that could be about different stories? All right. Now, did you guys ever see this one? Tetsuo, the Iron Man? It is weird. It is weird. I seen it once and then scratched my head. It's from Japan. And it's everybody that has gears and mechanical objects getting attached to their body. It's really disjointed. I mean, it's Japanese. You know how the Japanese love, monsters and industrial, complex movies. They love this. Tetsuo. That's or is it Tetsu? But yeah, it's called Tetsuo or Tetsu, the Iron Man. 83%. Now, this was on In Search of Darkness, the first one. So it's people turning into weird mechanical objects. It's I've seen it, like I said, I've seen it once, and that's about it. All right. Last one from 1989. Dead Calm. Sam Neill, Nicole Kidman, Billy Zane. Yeah, Brandon Collins with the last one. It's a damn weird movie. I saw this on Joe Bob Breaks. It is weird. It's in black and white. Dead Calm becomes disturbing for all the wrong reasons. For much of the movie, you're enthralled. By the end, you're laughing. This is not good. A masterful manipulator, but eventually there is no more wind in these sails. Not even enough to rifle a jib as a story, and Ray's character wears thin. Really? Yeah, Tetsuo is Oh. Then Wayne says, I've heard of this one. Seems like it could be a fun watch. Yeah, going back to Tetsuo. But yeah, Dead Calm, 83%. I think it's a little high. It's a little too high. It doesn't deserve to be 100. I think it's just a little bit too high. Brandon Collins says Dead Calm is great. Billy Zane plays a good creep. 83 seems a bit too low. Okay. All right. There's that one part. I think it's not about this movie, but Billy Zane, if you ever seen the reel or the short of him when he was on Titanic, he hits a extra. I think he either hits his hat or his umbrella, and the guy turns around. They're fencing with the umbrella. He looks like he's an okay guy. I saw him in one of the not Monster Mania, Chiller Theater shows. It looks like he was having a good time. Debbie says, great movie, Dead Calm, suspenseful. I remember liking Dead Calm. Hey, Maga, what's going on, buddy? The only thing I remember about Dead Calm is Billy Zane. But yeah, 83%. So, I mean, I guess it's okay. I think, like I said, maybe a little lower for me, but eh, what can you do? So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I had for the 1980s. I might do the 1980s ones that are too low for our taste. Might pick those, and I might go on to 1990. The ones that are, I might just go through the whole decades. I think that's what I'm going to do. And I also got defending bad movies, and I think I'm going to do Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. I think I'm going to try to sit that and look at it and pick at it and try to see if there's anything likable about that movie and take a look at it. But yeah, I got to go. I thank everybody for joining me on, frankly speaking. And I'm going to see you next time. No fancy outro, no bells and whistles, just frankly speaking. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you.